Good afternoon, everyone. So, I would like to welcome Mr. Senthil Nadeshan, the Global Director for the Iteron Technologies. We look forward to have a fruitful session here with you, sir. And we have got a lot of questions that we want to understand about your company. We also want to understand what are the future trends that is prevailing in e-commerce. So we will be taking turn by turn, and we will be looking forward to understand all of them.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Mr. Pal. So, just to give a brief intro of Iteron is automated automation and consulting company. So, we have been in business now for 7 years together. So, our focus areas are process automation, where we enable businesses, small business or enterprise clients with a custom built solution, especially in web and mobile. And the second unit we have is the innovative sector where we do blockchain and artificial intelligence. And the third one, which we are always focused on, were the products. So as you mentioned about Sri Lanka, we'll be launching the Fishpedia, which is a mobile apps focused for fishermen, market fishes and sell it online. So it's basically an e-commerce platform. So I think it's a right topic for the day as well.
Right, sir. So, further, I would requesting Pawan to start the session with asking the first question.
Sure. Okay. I have a question. What are the prospects of SMEs to integrate e-commerce in their business post-pandemic?
Okay, we are yet to get into post-pandemic situation. As you know, the world is still struggling to come out of it. But before moving into the post-pandemic analysis, let's talk about what happened during the pandemic situation. So, as you might be aware, there was almost 25 to 35% of growth in the market, especially in the e-commerce sector, um, coming from retail and food industries. So let's exclude the enterprise companies here because they already had a platform, they already had products, so they were really benefiting during the pandemic situation. But what happened on the other side for SMEs is, I would classify SMEs into two areas or two categories. One is the SMEs which adapted to the e-commerce quickly, or they already had a product, and the second category is somebody who was always in dilemma whether should I invest in e-commerce? Is the pandemic situation going to change? So these kind of two categories were there. The the SMEs which adapted quickly really benefited during the pandemic situations. I know many restaurants in Europe went overnight online with e-commerce solutions, so the clients can order online, so not to lose the customer base. In fact, I had a friend's company which is quite interesting. So they sell burgers, but what they do is they are very specialized. They go to the areas, they take the meat, they take the ingredients from that local region and try to create the burger for that local people. So they were really doing well, and during the pandemic situation, they had a slump in their business revenues, but they quickly adapted to e-commerce. So they use this mobile van, they go to those places, and they want to be near to the customer. And they made a huge success during the pandemic times. So what I'm trying is there were also some SMEs who were thinking innovatively using the e-commerce platform, and the SMEs which did not adapt to e-commerce, they were struggling to find the way out. They were just waiting for time to change, and not many know what is going to happen in the near future as of now. So coming to the post-pandemic question, the companies that adapted, they have to further improve their platform, strengthen into their functions, go into social media marketing, and make better quality deliveries and so on. So that should be their focus. And the companies which did not adapt to e-commerce, basically SMEs. So for me, the buying trend has completely changed over the world. So people go more and more online buying and selling. So it's still not a hard miss. They can still try to implement e-commerce solutions, at least the basic functions to deal with this kind of situation. Not only this kind of situation, the world is going to go in this direction even after the pandemic situation, more on e-commerce selling and buying. So So SMEs have to adapt to the e-commerce platform at least with the basic stuffs. Hope that answers your question.
Sure. Yeah. Got an idea. Picture.
Thank you so much, sir. So I will request Sumit to ask his question.
Yes, sir. The next question for you, sir. What are the general trends that are seen and expected in the e-commerce business in the South Asian market like Sri Lanka, sir?
I think we can also include India there, right? Because
Yeah.
India is quite
Yeah.
a big market.
Hmm.
Yeah. See, globally, Asia is always an interesting market for international MNCs and companies. And especially Southeast Asia with India and Sri Lanka are quite interesting market for e-commerce industry. Um, as you know, in the recent past, many global giants moved into India. They also collaborated and invested with local partners. So even before the pandemic, so all this happened even before the pandemic, and during the pandemic, the situation changed. Like there was completely increase in the e-commerce selling, and uh, and the big advantage of India is India and Sri Lanka, they constitute around 30% with youth population, and the youth already are quite digitalized. They are quite mobile savvy. They would like to buy and sell everything on the platform. So for them, e-commerce is not something new, and the pandemic did not change any of their buying or selling attitudes. But what happened, interestingly, is they also enabled the next generation or the older generation who were reluctant to go into online. Like if you take my families in India, they were really not used to all this digitalization, but now during the pandemic they were forced to do all this because anyway they have to survive or buy things. So that's how things changed. But what could happen now is after the pandemic situation, there will be a slump in e-commerce uh, for a short period of time. The reason is very simple. People have been in lockdown within their walls for so many months and or even year now. So what they would like to do is have the shopping experience. They would like to touch and feel products. So they will really go out once the pandemic is over, hopefully, and there will be a slump in e-commerce selling or buying, but that's not going to be for a long time. In my opinion, around 3 to 6 months, the things will be back to normal because the people are quite used to all this now. So they know that there is a big advantage with online buying because the prices are less. They have more varieties, better accessibility, door deliveries, and so on. So they've already seen the taste of e-commerce. So it's not like a long time they'll be outside shopping and so on. They will come back to online sooner or later. So I would say that year on year, there will be from now on 15 to 20% growth in the e-commerce platform. But that also comes with a stiff competition. There's going to be huge competition in this area, with even retail or food, all are enabling e-commerce. So that's competition is very high. So what could make the SME survive is basically a modernized platform with better performance, quicker delivery, customer service care, and so on. These are the ones which will keep the SMEs a competitive, stay competitive.
Thank you, sir.
Right, sir.
Yeah.
That's great to hear, sir. So we have one more question from Aditya. Aditya, if you can ask your question.
Yeah, thank you. So I would like to ask that were there any specific challenges or bottlenecks that you would like to pinpoint that you have faced as a Swiss company to operate your business in Sri Lanka?
Uh, yes, absolutely. So Sri Lanka is a very interesting market. So when we first visited in 2017, I and our COO Someshwaran, so we both went to Sri Lanka with big hopes to establish the service business because we are always in service business, like custom built solutions and specific for the customers. That's how we have been operating for so many years in our business. So with this mindset, we wanted to venture into the Sri Lanka market. So we had a 3 day trip, and it was fully with meetings booked and so on. At the end of the 3 days, when we look back, and what we really saw this was a shock for us because this market works on the local trust. It's not somebody like from US, Swiss, Australia can get directly into a market. So there is a lot of entry barriers because of the local competition and trust-based factor. So until they see people, until they feel or they are next to the people, they don't really trust anymore any solution, even if it's one of the best solution in the world. So what other point we realized is they were looking for out of box solution, because they don't want to go something from scratch to build something for them. That's not the way they wanted to do it. They want to have quick or dirty solution, doesn't matter, but they want to enable their business as early as possible. So that's what was a challenge for us. So after 6 months, we brainstormed. We don't know what to do, but how do we enter this market? And then we made a second visit in 2018, if I'm right, and a year later. At that time, interestingly, the Ceylon Fisheries Corporation was opening up its global project. They even had some tenders published. So we took this opportunity to meet the team there, and we did a due diligence workshop with them for 1.5 months free, just to understand what's going on inside the fisheries department. So there were many fisheries departments like marine, there were tourism, online selling, ornamental fishes selling, and so on. And all of them were completely decentralized, disintegrated, and this project was supposed to integrate them. So we took the big picture from there. We tried to do some proposals and try to show the government how all this can be integrated. But it was a really a big project, which any government or any company for that sake will not be interested to invest in the right beginning, right? So those are the real challenges we faced when we entered this market. Is application which you already spoke to about is Fishpedia, because as I said in the past point, we were trying to really find out to enter Sri Lanka. And that's where when we started to think about, many of you who are in marketing must be knowing what is flanking strategies. So we were using the flanking strategy where there is a market, but nobody tapped that. So that was one area, which is the fish bidding apps, because the fishermen had a lot of challenges every day to bring the fishes to the harbors and to sell them, and only the local buyers had access to it. So there was, even the harbors next to it did not have access to those fish market, and also international buyers, they have no idea of what's going on, and that is a huge potential there. So that's one when we come up with the idea of Fishpedia, which is online bidding apps for fishermen and integrating with local buyer, international buyer. So everything could be done online, and it's quite transparent. That is okay. We say we don't need to eliminate middleman. The middleman could also be part of it. So that's the point, and that's already launched. The pilot we launched last month. We have around a few hundreds of buyers and sellers, and from April 1st, we'll be going in a big way, in a full-fledged way, in collaboration with the local telecom partner.
So I would be like opening the floor. If there is any questions for others, they can feel free to ask.
So I have a question for
Yeah, Mr. Somesh, you can go on and ask the question.
yes, and thanks for this presentation. So is there any a mechanism to weed out the fake sellers and buyers for e-commerce, particularly where the e-commerce industry is now booming up? Do we have any kind of mechanism?
Uh, when you say mechanism, what do you mean? Is it the platform or?
A kind of platform or a mechanism where we can weed out the fake sellers. Like that's a major problem that we are facing in e-commerce, right?
Yes, that's a part of now KYC process, and many companies are already adapting it. So know your customer or know your vendor. So this is the one which is eliminating now all this fake and fraudulent kind of registration. So, and as you know that even in Fishpedia we have a back office now, just to ensure that the buyers and customer sellers are authenticated, because this is a huge problem when you open up a platform for open registration, so anybody can register and start using the platform. So that's one of the reason many have like two-step authentication and also verify the background checks before allowing the vendors or customers into the platform. So we also see this trend in Gulf countries where a lot of companies are enabling e-commerce there. And what they do is also going by, they don't allow anybody to register directly into the platform. They always have a second step of verification, basically to adopt or avoid these kind of fraudulent behavior. Yeah.
Yep. Thanks.
So, if there are no other questions, we can conclude the session. Yeah, Vaibhav.
Hello, sir. Yes. Good afternoon, sir. Vaibhav this side. Sorry, I couldn't unmute earlier because due to a technical glitch. Sir, am I audible?
Yeah, Vaibhav.
Yes. So my question is like, how can we leverage technology when it comes to the logistic or supply chain point of view in e-commerce?
Yes, so that's a good question. As you know, like supply chain is actually a matured industry, which many industries are already having an ERP or application there to take care of the day-to-day processing from order to cash. What has happened now is more on fleet management, like tracking their trucks or tracking their orders. So there are also AI, like a lot of artificial intelligence coming into this areas where they see the user behavior or like locate which is the best way to reach the customer, like what is the shortest route possible to deliver stuffs and so on. So there is a lot of AI stuff happening. And interestingly, we have done a project called Meet Apps. This is aimed at the people who the end consumers meet. They don't know from where this is originated or how long it was stored. So this app is aimed to do that, which means it starts from the procurement of like goats or cow, and then from there it comes to the slaughterhouse. Then it gets into the end consumer. So at any time, all this goes into blockchain database. Uh, and all the information are stored, like when the last test was done, where the doctor controlled it, what was the type of disease or anything it has, and so on. So everything is going into a database in blockchain. And when you buy meat as an end consumer, all that is, if you do a QR code scanning, you have complete information about the meat. So that's how the technology is evolving. And this app, honestly, is almost completed, and the first go live will happen in back. And we that this customer of ours will have a good benefit out of this app.
Yes, sir. Sure. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So I believe there are no more questions. So I would like to thank you on behalf of everybody, and we really thank you for taking out time for us. And we really look forward to see and use your products once they are launched in the market.
Thank you very much for your time, and thanks for organizing this, and thanks for the interesting questions. So it was a pleasure interacting with you all. Thank you, and have a great day.
Thank you so much, sir.